All right, so get this. Today we're going deep on something that's, well, kind of blown people's minds for centuries. Miracles. Specifically, the ones Jesus pulled off according to John's gospel.
Yeah, John's gospel.
Not just like cool tricks, right? We're talking stuff that made people rethink, like what's even real, you know?
That's it. And you guys gave us some really fascinating material for this deep dive. I'm pumped to dig into it.
Me too. So what's the deal with these miracles? Just showing off, or was there a deeper point?
That's the cool thing about John's gospel. He was picky, chose certain miracles on purpose. Each one's like a sneak peek into Jesus, like who he was as a person, and also, boom, the Son of God. A big theme for John, that.
Okay, so it's strategic, not just a highlight reel.
Exactly. John's miracles, they do a few things. One, show Jesus has power over nature, sickness, death even.
Heavy stuff.
But it's more than showing off. These miracles, they also show how much he cared for people, especially those hurting or left out.
So it's the wow factor, but with a heart.
Right. And the biggest thing John's getting at, he uses these miracles as like signs pointing to Jesus being divine. Like, hey, this is more than just a dude. This is like God in the flesh.
Cosmic calling card.
Boom. And it makes us think not just who Jesus was back then, but what it means for us now.
Good point. This isn't just history. It's like an invitation to think about big questions about faith, about reality even.
Totally. Okay, want to get into some specifics to see how these miracles work.
Let's do it. Most folks know the water into wine thing at the wedding in Cana. That always comes up. But isn't it a little weird that John picks this as a key miracle? Running out of drinks at a party doesn't exactly scream divine intervention, right?
And that's what makes it so cool. Like, you know, on the surface, it's just Jesus saving the day.
Yes.
But John's saying, look closer. Look at what it means symbolically.
So what's the deeper meaning?
It's about abundance, transformation. Water to wine, it's like new life, pure joy that Jesus brings, a new start. It's like the new deal he's making with the world.
Got it. It's not about the party. It's about, like, this huge change Jesus is starting.
Exactly. Ever feel like something's missing? Relationships, your job, your faith even. This miracle, it speaks to that feeling we all get, wanting something more, wanting, you know, fullness.
Wow, that's powerful. So simple miracle, but layers and layers of meaning.
And don't forget, it was his first public miracle. Like, bam, here's who I am, here's what I'm about.
Talking about making a statement, that walking on water story, whoa. But the disciples, they freak out, then they're just in awe. What's John saying with that, with their emotions changing like that?
He's showing us faith, how it works. The disciples, even though they were with Jesus, they didn't totally get who he was yet. Seeing him on the water, breaking the laws of nature, first they're scared.
Yeah, I'd be freaking out too, seeing someone stroll on water like it's nothing.
Right. But then seeing this impossible thing, the fear becomes awe. Like, whoa, we're dealing with something beyond us here.
Makes me wonder, do we do that sometimes? Limit ourselves because we don't really get the power of faith?
That's a good question. Think about tough times, like you're drowning in problems. That story, it's saying, even when you feel like you're going under, faith can hold you steady.
Like a reminder you're not alone in the storm.
Exactly. There's something bigger than us we can lean on. And that leads us to the paralyzed guy at Bethesda, right? That story shows how much Jesus cared about the people society pushes aside.
The guy who was sick for 38 years, yeah.
That's him. Not just sick, but like an outcast, ignored. But Jesus sees him, sees the pain, and steps up.
It's beautiful how Jesus went to the people everyone else ignored, didn't care about breaking social rules to show love.
And get this, it happens on the Sabbath, the day you're not supposed to work, according to Jewish law.
So Jesus is like breaking the rules on purpose.
Yep. Big statement there. He's saying caring for people, loving them, it's bigger than any rule.
Whoa. Makes you think, do we follow rules too closely sometimes? Like, are we really living with love and compassion?
Big takeaway. And this whole breaking expectations thing, it happens again with Lazarus, right?
Yeah.
Probably the most intense miracle in John.
Raising someone from the dead. Yeah, that pushes the limits of what's possible. It's not just healing, it's like beating death. What was John going for with this one, do you think?
He's making a statement about Jesus' power, right? Saying he controls life and death, period. And this miracle, it's hinting at Jesus' own resurrection, which is like the cornerstone of Christianity.
So it's not just about Lazarus, it's about hinting at something even bigger. Eternal life for believers.
Exactly. And even after seeing this miracle, Some people still weren't buying it. In fact, this is what kicks off the whole fight between Jesus and the religious leaders, the Pharisees.
Right, the Pharisees, why were they so against Jesus, even with all this proof?
Well, you got to understand the time period. So the Pharisees, they were like the top dogs, the religious elite, super strict about following the law their way.
Yeah.
They saw Jesus as a problem, shaking things up.
More than just arguing about beliefs then, like a power struggle.
Oh, yeah, totally. They were just debating ideas. They were scared. Jesus getting popular, saying he's divine and all that, it threatened their whole position, their control.
It's funny how people in power, they often see any change, even good change, as like a personal attack.
Yeah, it's true. And in this case, that fear, it made the Pharisees go after Jesus, trying to make him look bad, discredit those miracles.
They even said he was blaspheming, using Satan's power, not God's.
Right. They were so stuck in their ways, they couldn't even consider that Jesus's power was, like, truly from God. They were blinded,
Yeah.
by their own biases, their need to stay on top.
Really makes you think, our own opinions, they can stop us from seeing the truth sometimes, even when it's right there. Makes you wonder, back then, would we have been the believers or the ones rejecting Jesus?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes us look at our own hearts, what we're biased about. Are we willing to be open to new things, even if they challenge what we think we know?
This brings up something I think a lot of people wonder. If those miracles were real, why don't we see them now? No one's walking on water or coming back from the dead these days. Does that mean miracles are done, or are we just, like, looking in the wrong places?
That's a great question, and it's tricky. Some people say those miracles, they were specific to Jesus, like a sign of who he was. Others say, nah, miracles still happen, maybe just, more subtly.
So maybe we're hung up on the big flashy stuff, the, like, splitting the sea miracles, and we miss the everyday amazing things.
Exactly. Maybe it's someone getting better when everyone thought they were done for, or a chance meeting that changes your whole life, or just this, like, wave of peace when everything's crazy.
Like, we need to reset what we expect. Pay attention to those little bursts of, I don't know, like, grace. The things that poke through the normal day-to-day.
I think so. It's about having that sense of wonder, seeing the beauty and the mystery that's all around, if we just open our eyes.
So how do we do that? Train ourselves to see miracles in the everyday stuff.
Start by shifting how you look at things. Don't focus on what's missing, what you don't have. Look at what's already good. Family, friends, nature. Those simple things that make you happy.
Appreciate what we've got, right? Even the small stuff.
And trust that even when it's hard, when you're not sure what's next, there's something bigger out there working things out, something that can heal, restore, bring hope.
So yeah, we might not see people walking on water anymore, but the point of those miracles, that message of hope, of change, of love that's stronger than death, that's still for us right now.
Absolutely. And maybe if we really believe that, if we open ourselves up to miracles being possible, well, we might just find them happening to us. Could be a moment of pure grace, feeling calm when everything's going nuts, or even just someone being kind and it, like, touches you deep down.
Those little miracles, those hints that there's something bigger than us out there, those are the things that keep the magic alive, if we just know where to look.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered the miracles themselves, how people reacted, what they mean. But what about the impact on the people who actually saw these miracles? How did that change them, change how they saw Jesus? It's one thing to read it, right? But being there, like seeing it with your own eyes, that had to just blow their minds.
Yeah, totally.
Picture it, you're at a wedding, they run out of wine, super awkward, right? Then boom, Jesus turns water into the best wine ever. Or you're in a boat, storm's raging, you're terrified, and suddenly there's a dude walking on the water towards you.
I think I'd freak out, honestly. Like, is this real life?
Exactly. Stuff that just breaks how you understand the world. For the people who saw it, it wasn't a story, it was life-changing.
So did those experiences, did they turn everyone into a believer right then and there?
It's interesting, even with the proof right in front of them, people reacted differently. Some, yeah, they were instantly convinced, like, bam, that's it, I believe. But others, they still had doubts. They questioned it, tried to come up with other explanations.
Makes sense, right? We all see things through our own lens, our own beliefs, all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And John's gospel, it shows that. Like the disciples, they saw miracle after miracle, but they still had doubts. They were scared sometimes.
Makes them seem more real, Like, faith isn't always this straight line. It's messy, you doubt, then you see things clearly. It's a journey.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's encouraging for us now, right? We might not see those big miracles, but we can relate to how those people felt, what they went through with their faith.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, What do we take away from all this? What can we learn from those stories for our lives now, for figuring out, what it all means?
I think one of the biggest things is to be open to what's possible. The people who saw those miracles, they had to change how they saw the world. They had to accept that, whoa, maybe there's more out there than I thought.
Like letting go of what they thought they knew and embracing something bigger?
Right. And that's a challenge for us too. The world says there are limits, there are rules, but those miracles, they say, maybe those aren't so set in stone after all. Maybe there's more to reality than we see.
It's about having that childlike wonder, believing anything is possible.
Exactly. And maybe if we open up to that, we'll start seeing the miracles in our own lives, in the everyday stuff. Could be a moment where you feel super grateful, or finding peace when things are crazy, or someone does something kind and it really gets to you.
Those little miracles, those glimpses of something bigger, those are what remind us that there's still magic out there if we're paying attention.
Totally. And remember what Jesus said. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you.
Wow, that's powerful. Even a little bit of faith can make a huge difference. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the miracles of Jesus. Keep thinking about these stories, see how they connect to your own journey. And hey, who knows, maybe you'll run into a miracle or two yourself along